Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Transporter 3, starring Jason Statham, Francois Berland, Robert Knepper, and Natalia Rudakava. I don't know if I'm saying that right, please forgive me. And directed by Olivier Megaton. Now, I did see this in theaters, and what do I think of it? Let's get into it, shall we? The movie opens on a ship full of toxic waste docks, and two guys get killed by smelling the toxic waste. Then we move on to Frank Martin, returned by Jason Statham, and Tarconi, returned by Francois Berland, going fishing as Takarni is asleep, and as we get a chase sequence while they go fishing while a case is going on. And this is the first time a chase goes on and Frank is not involved, which is a mistake because that's what made the first one entertaining. And this opener is not as interesting nor fun like the first one, nor is it funny like the second one. So far, I'm not thrilled with this one, to be honest. Frank has a car break into his house, and the person who crashed it, Malcolm, which is a job he turned down with a fight scene with terrible shots, and he says he can't get as far away from the car as possible. And Frank gets the cops there, and Frank finds Valentina, played by Natalia Rudakova, and she says he can't be away from the car as the paramedics explode, and Frank is going to play the same game Malcolm did. And Frank meets Johnson, played by Robert Knepper, and the plot goes nowhere for me as this time I'm bored and don't understand what's going on in this movie. Frank is forced to ride with Valentina throughout the job, let's say, and the movie goes absolutely nowhere for me. Frank arrives in Germany as Valentina after they get properly introduced, which is breaking one of his rules, and goes the wrong direction. And what is the plot of this movie? He goes to Otto's garage shop to get the bracelet off. There's a bracelet that keeps Frank making sure that they're under his control. And Frank beats up Johnson's goons and again takes off his shirt. Doesn't it bug me how he does that? Let me think. Yes. Frank fights the giant one and beats the crap out of him, and this action is not that good. Frank gets the car stolen after Johnson fires Frank, and he chases the car with a bicycle and catches up with Frank firing the guy who stole the car. And my problem is it looks very shoddy. Hell, this whole movie looks super shoddy. As far as I'm concerned, the music choice in this was very cringeworthy, as well as when Valentina sexually teases Frank. Just, ugh! That's awful! The choices made in this movie is just awful. Then, more of Johnson's goons chase after Frank in a horrible chase sequence as Frank gets away by driving in between trucks, which is so freaking stupid, and the goons fall off the edge, which is also stupid. This is perhaps the stupidest movie I've seen in years. Frank and Valentina strip and kiss, and did I mention the music choice was bad? Because I believe I did. And some prime minister calls about his daughter, who I get the impression it's Valentina, by the way, as she explains her backstory, which I didn't care at this point. The dialogue is a typical action movie dialogue, which is a bad thing, which is only action and very little dialogue, and that makes sense. That's what this is that's what this is to my eyes and ears at this point. Frank is surrounded by more of Johnson's goons, and Valentina gets out of the car and comes to Johnson, and Frank gets shot and drowns his car and gets out alive as Johnson wants to get out of town on train, and Frank goes after them, and this is when I start losing interest in this movie. As Frank catches up and gets to the train by car, and I thought, give me a break, because this is very unrealistic. Frank almost gets close to Johnson as he runs to his car and to get to the other side of the train with his bracelet after Johnson disconnects the train, and Frank and Johnson go at it, and Frank puts the bracelet he had on the whole movie on Johnson, and Johnson explodes. And I thought, what a joke. This whole climax is a joke. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 2.5 out of 10. The music choices are just terrible, and the choices made in this movie was bad as well. The dialogue is cringeworthy, the writing is awful, and the acting is worse than the first two. Not that the acting in the first two movies were great either. This movie is a joke. And if I were a fan of the series, I wouldn't want to watch this, period. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Transporter Refueled. And until next time...